welcome to today's Concerned Educators Against Forced Unionism CEAFU lunch break. And I'd like to welcome Carol Yeagy and Dennis Shambaugh from both from the KEYTA Association, which is the teachers group and the non-union teachers group in Pennsylvania and Delaware. Welcome today. And I'd like for you to tell us as much as possible in this time period about the wonderful things you're doing for Pennsylvania teachers and for Delaware teachers, and what your goals are and this year, and also what you plan on doing in the years upcoming, and just let it go. But let me first give you a little background about Carol. Carol's been working with the KEYTA teachers for over 15 years, I believe, and has been involved in helping teachers for that period of time. Has probably learned or been involved in so many problems for teachers, those insides and outs of all the situations that probably any school system, local school in the state. And I think Dennis, who's been teaching for 40 years, if I'm correct, and where I was talking about 40 years, as a teacher, has probably been involved in or found or heard about just about anything that everything Carol's heard about, maybe a little bit more. So those two are great resources for any teacher to have on their side in any kind of situation. And I strongly recommend that if nothing else, you ought to at least give them a call if you're curious, and or might need some help to see if they can help you. And with that, I will turn it over to Carol, and I'll stop talking and give you a chance to tell us a lot about KEYTA.
Well, first of all, we would like to thank you for having us on today and allowing us this opportunity to share the Keystone Teachers Association and how we support our members. To give a little background for those who aren't familiar with us here in Pennsylvania, we support members or teachers and school staff in Pennsylvania and Delaware. We recently expanded into Delaware. We have been around since 1993. How we got started is an interesting story. We had a group of teachers in a small school district outside of Harrisburg who were actually very active in their teachers union at the time. And they found out through their activity and their participation in the union's legislative program that there's a lot of issues that the union supports, and wanted them to share with their colleagues as far as what issues they should be supporting, instead of taking the surveys that they did on the local level up to the legislative assembly and saying, hey, these are the things that our colleagues are really interested in, and we believe these are things that the union should support. The problem was there were also a few issues that the union supported that the teachers didn't feel that their dues should be used to pay for those issues. The union historically has gotten very involved in non-educational and social issues. And all they were saying is, look, why don't we just stick to supporting issues that deal with education and how we support teachers and how the teachers support the students? But when they started going awry and getting into issues outside of education, they tried to make change. They tried to share with the assembly, look, why are we supporting these? Shouldn't we at least talk about it? Can we take a vote on it? And they were shut down. They were ignored. And their takeaway was, here are the things that we're supporting. We want you to take these issues, go back to your district, and these are the things that your teachers need to be supporting when it comes around to campaigns and politics. These are the issues that we are behind. So realizing that that's how the system actually worked, they could not in good conscience continue to be members of the union and have their hard-earned pay and dues going towards these issues that had nothing to do with education and actually went against their conscience and their morals and values. So when they left the union, they realized it was also very important to have some professional liability insurance and attorneys and legal assistance and job protection issues and support whenever you're working with the administration or there's been a complaint against you or even a lawsuit, or if you're arrested, which we've seen all of those come through our doors since KEYTA was created. Because of those issues, they thought we really need protection. So they created the Keystone Teachers Association. That was in 93. We're looking at almost 33 years in existence. We have been supporting thousands and thousands of teachers since that time, since KEYTA was created. We are in well over 150 school districts here in Pennsylvania. We are in cyber schools, charter schools, the career and tech centers. We are in the intermediate units. We have full time teachers. We have school staff, nurses, principals, um, uh, support staff. We are here for all of our members. Most of our members are teachers, but we're here to support anyone and everyone who's employed in a school entity. In the cyber schools and charter schools, we're here for those as well. And we have a long history, and we work very hard of supporting our members in our association.
Well, I can tell you've got a lot of enthusiasm. I'd say over the 15 years, I feel like I've known you for 15 years. I've been here 15 years, but and, yeah, the energy and the aliveness you bring to everything is just, it's great. It's like, I mean, I can remember a few teachers like that would just seem like going in their classroom would brighten my day until they asked me a question. But up until that, but I like the energy. And I think that's what you bring into it, and it's the passion for every single member, which is great. And I think that's I guess the huge organization like the NEA and AFT, they may lose some of that passion that they don't have. They, I mean, it's not Pennsylvania, Delaware to them. It is, it's Guam, it's Alaska, it's everything, and that's a big. It's hard to focus on everything. I think, especially when it's your day to day issue, the teacher that you're having to deal with, and I'm kind of curious, Dennis. When did you decide that maybe the NEA wasn't for you, and you should maybe look around?
Well, I started my teaching career at Susquehanna and Go Blackhawks in 1980. And at that point, there was no other choice. So I joined the union like a good soldier in the union for about 10 years. Then I just had enough of some of the social issues that they were dealing with, especially the straw that broke the camel's back for myself was the union's view on abortion. It was very pro-abortion. I didn't like that at all. So for several years, I was not a member of anything. I had no coverage at all. And then a friend from my church, actually on the board at that time, the KEYTA board, suggested I look at KEYTA, and I've joined KEYTA and have not looked back ever since. So I've been a member of KEYTA for about 25 years. In fact, been on the board for the last 10 years and president about 5 years as well. So I did want to give a shout out to the first board president of KEYTA, which was Randy Hoffman, and his wife Connor, who had a great start to our union, for our organization. So we really appreciate that. So that's how I got into KEYTA, and I've been happy ever since. And in fact, now that I'm retired, I still am part of KEYTA as a retired teacher, get my liability insurance through that. Just can't stay away from teaching.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting. You really, when you said you got into KEYTA, you took it over. You became the board president. I would say, there you go. So when you decide to get into something, you really get into it. That's great. And I guess that's a real testimony to really how good the organization is and how impressed you were with it. And not only were you impressed with it, you want to be a part of it. And
Yes.
I think having these two people help you as a teacher or someone in the school system, you've clearly got two people of strong character and are more than willing to help out any way that they possibly can. That's just nice to have.
It,
And so as I look at this, I kind of on one screen I have your website, and there's so many different things that you offer at KEYTA. I was wondering if Carol, maybe you could kind of explain to us what KEYTA does offer, how they can get involved, and maybe even show us some examples of some people that have like uh, used your resources or participate in some of your programs.
Sure. I'll share my screen here and show you, go through our website. So for teachers and school staff who are interested in learning more about KEYTA, our website is very thorough. We have testimonials, which goes, it lists countless amounts of teachers and their testimonials through the years who have shared how we Sorry, it's not really. Oh, there we go.
We can do it, yeah.
There we are. Um, it explains who we are thoroughly. We have lots of testimonials that show how we've supported members in the past. For those individuals who want to become a member, under our Join Renew, it actually gives you the different dues classifications. If you're a part-time substitute teacher, you're not paying the same amount as a full-time educator that's there with the students full-time. For our retired and teaching, we support um, student teachers. We have those reduced rates. We have our associate member rate for those teachers who are retired and just need our additional benefits. But what's most important on our website, it shows all the different ways that we support our members, between our private legal services program, our additional insurance benefits, how we support retirees, and also our protection. It offers a lot of detailed information in our liability insurance program, how we support our members in that way, and pretty much everything you need to know on there. We also have a foundation, and our foundation link is on there. Our contact is on there. Pretty much anything you need to know about KEYTA and how we support our members, you can find on our website.
Well, I noticed there that there's a $2 million liability thing for your members right there on the liability insurance.
Yes, we provide $2 million in professional liability insurance and up to $10,000 in legal assistance and job protection issues. That's guaranteed. However, we also have a bank of attorneys that are on retainer for us. So teachers who have a lot of questions about they need legal assistance, but they're not necessarily in a disciplinary matter. We have attorneys that will answer those questions and work with those members, whether it's a contract issue, a parent issue, something that's coming up, something that's brewing, they're not sure how to respond. Our attorneys work with our members in a myriad of issues outside of have you been disciplined. They are kept pretty busy. Actually, they're always willing to work with our members in anything that's going on in the school district. So we have both of those. If you're sued, we had a member a few years ago that had let me close this out actually. We had a member a few years ago that was accused of making an indecent sexual comment to a female student. And it went for about 2 years, and he was falsely accused, but he was without his job, without his benefits, without his pay, and ended up in front of a jury before he was finally exonerated. And through that entire time, he had 2 sets of attorneys, his criminal attorney, his labor law attorney for his school, the suspension and everything going on with the school and with his teaching certificate. So he had 2 different attorneys working with him, lots of hours, lots of support from them. And in the end, he was exonerated before this jury. But just imagine if you were a teacher and you were accused of something that you never did and you end up in court. It literally could ruin you. Homeowners insurance isn't going to cover that. There's no rider that you can get that would protect you in that way. Yet as a member of KEYTA, we never turned our back on him. We stayed with him until he was found innocent. We've also had members that accidentally say something they shouldn't, or they're humans. And even in those situations where we've never turned our back on a member, we realize that we are here to give that peace of mind that if something happens, are you going to be there for me? If a parent makes an accusation, if a student makes an accusation, we had a situation where a student claimed that the teacher pushed him. He did not push him, but you need somebody there supporting you through these situations.
So you actually have real people that are local versus that could they can talk to versus, I guess, somewhere in New York or someplace that they're on the phone.
Correct. We have attorneys that our members use, or they're also welcome to get their own. If they know somebody who's they're good friends with, or they have their own attorney, our insurance will also pay for them to use their own attorney. But we really don't ever get that. Our attorneys are very skilled in what they've done. They've been working with teachers for decades. So they realize these are the people who need to be behind me.
It
Who
sounds
have
like they've been winning, at least protecting the interests of your your members.
Exactly.
One strong point about KEYTA, we have members of our board, members of our staff that can come to directly to the teacher if he or she wants some person in the room with the administrator. We can get to Delaware, we can get to parts of Pennsylvania, and be with that teacher in the meeting if need be. I think that's a strong point. We have boots on the ground.
So you're saying if you're a teacher and you get called in, see, you get called in the principal's office. Not that I've ever been called in the principal's office, but if you get called in the principal's office, you can actually take somebody with you, and that person could be somebody from KEYTA to help them at least have another witness to what's going on.
Exactly. Correct. Yes.
Yeah, and if it's a bigger issue, our attorneys will be there with you.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helps to know that there are people on the ground, there are people around. That I guess the most you have to wait is a day at the most to have somebody there, and that's good.
Well, you figure there's that you can have a student who makes a false accusation because they didn't want to make up their homework,
Right.
to try to get the teacher a livelihood. It's their maybe it keeps the roof over their head and their medical benefits. It's a problem. You really need to have someone you trust on your side if these issues arise, and we've always stood by our members during those difficult times.
Yeah, I can see that. There's a lot of stories I've heard, over the years, and it's just it's a student so either you can make a claim, and the problem is you want to err on the side of the student. I mean, everybody. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think in most systems it because really, first of all, if there was something bad, you want the kid to feel like they can come forward. So you don't want to, first accuse them of being, you just didn't want to do your homework right off the bat. You may find that out in the interview, but the problem is, things happen. Kids do have imagination, and teachers get in trouble pretty quickly over nothing that they did at all. And that, I think, would probably be the scariest part if I were a teacher, to me, is that there really isn't another teacher there with me, because it's you versus, I'm not really versus the students, but there is this kind of a loneliness, I think, in a classroom, especially if something goes wrong. So I guess,
There
are there a
is.
lot of cameras now? Is that almost all classrooms? Is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of cameras in built. I don't know about classrooms as much, but in hallways, gyms, in the more the larger community areas. Some probably have them in classrooms as well. Denny, can you speak on that?
Yeah. In my experience, not a whole lot in the classroom, but in the general areas, yes. And,
Yeah, 'cause my understanding was the NEA actually helped keep cameras out of the classrooms. So
I'm sure.
I just remember hearing something about that. I think.
During COVID.
Well, they didn't want they didn't want the cameras in there, and it's like I guess it seems like you want the evidence on your side, but then I guess there'd be evidence against you too. I don't know what the point of that is, but anyway, that could be bad. Well, we won't go. We won't. I can think of things now that I started thinking about it, but anyway, so that's. I was just thinking that I would like to have at least have a camera there. That's all. I probably should have gone there at all. But anyway, I mean. But let's go back to Dennis or Denny, and let him explain to us again what he taught, and how how you became more involved in KEYTA. I mean, obviously you didn't start all this board president, but what kept you hooked, and why did you become so committed to the program?
Again, I saw the need for liability insurance. I have some friends that are in the union, which is fine. Some members and friends of mine in KEYTA, but some of my teacher friends are not in any organization. And I try to stress to them that they really need to be in some kind of organization for teacher liability. In fact, I had a friend who was a teacher, and I asked him a couple of times, please join something, join KEYTA, join something, get your liability insurance. He didn't, and then he had an issue with his administration, and it was in fact let go. And he has since come back to me and said, "Oh, I wish I would have listened to you." But yeah, I found KEYTA to be a very good organization. It's treated me well in the past, served my needs as far as liability insurance. It's good organization. It's apolitical, and one nice thing about KEYTA is it accepts people on the right, on the left, conservative, liberal. Will take all of us, because again, the organization itself is apolitical, so we don't have to worry about the political garbage. And we have different viewpoints, and we set that aside for educational purposes. Anything that we stress is education. I like that as far as KEYTA goes.
Well, that's
Yeah, that's very well put.
yeah, I'd say so. And that's I think again, KEYTA offers a lot actually, and it's amazing that so they keep expanding, they keep doing different things. I mean, like for instance, I mean they've got of course foundation, the KEYTA Foundation, and my understanding helps teachers, not just teachers that are members of KEYTA even.
Right, we offer classroom grants yearly to any teacher. They just have to meet some requirements. They lay out what they'd like to use funds for, and we have a group of people who decide you get these funds. And these teachers don't have to be KEYTA members; it can be anybody. And we support teachers, and that's through our KEYTA Foundation, which people can give to if they would so choose to do so.
Okay. And are you in this? How many school are you in? Several schools in Delaware now, or is it how is that just a growing part of your section? Or
We're still working on getting Delaware. We're up and running, but we're still trying to break into Delaware and get our exposure there. We're doing marketing campaigns and still working on letting those teachers know that there is an alternative now. And the reason why we're in Delaware is we were invited by some groups who were very concerned about the education of the students in Delaware. They apparently Delaware is one of the highest states as far as per pupil funding. However, they're at the bottom of the student accomplishments. And the unions are very big and strong there. The teachers are overworked. They're exhausted. They're not getting support. There's something very broken in Delaware that they thought, if another independent can come in and support those teachers and offer new perspectives, maybe things will slowly start to change there.
competition of ideas is oftentimes helpful.
Right.
Got a solution.
So
And when not only with professional liability insurance and legal assistance, we also will lobby for the education issues for our members, even though we don't get involved in politics or support candidates or parties. We are invested in the legislative process. We survey our members, and we will lobby for them on education issues that are either good for what they're doing or they are opposed to those initiatives. We will let the legislature and the governor know whether our members are for that, opposed to that, or any adjustments to the bills that we feel should be made that would better improve the teaching environment of the teachers. So we are involved in the legislative process. We will lobby. We also keep our members updated with emails and newsletters with anything that's going on in the state and national governments that pertain to their jobs, so that they're aware of what's going up the pipeline. Should you be reaching out to your congressman, or things that are happening with regulations that changed? Here's what's new. Here's how you're going to have to start doing this new procedure because a new policy was implemented. So we're still very active in those areas, even though we don't get involved in politics.
What are the current issues? Are there any current issues in State House right now?
It's interesting you say that. We have a very divided state right now with the legislature and the governor. And I have to say very little is getting done. That we haven't even passed the budget. Um, they're not good in compromising, but right now one of the big initiatives is funding a program that gives stipends, larger the stipends to student teachers. Before a year ago, our student teachers would work for free. And because of the teacher shortage, they realized we need to do more to get teachers into the pipeline in the colleges and universities so that there's enough teachers to replace the ones that are retiring and leaving the profession. And right now, there isn't. So one of the things that they realize is why don't we, give them a stipend to do their student teaching, so they're actually getting paid for it. So they did that a year ago, and we lobbied the legislature this year to increase that because only so many student teachers, there's only so much money, and a lot of student teachers did not get in. It's a first come first serve. So you can imagine all the students sitting at their laptops waiting to hit submit as soon as the application opens. But we've been lobbying to get that amount increased so that all of our student teachers can get paid. And it also allows for, which is also very important, the teacher that is in charge of that student teacher, they get a small stipend for their extra work as well, because it's a lot of work to have a student teacher in your classroom. You think that you could sit back and they're doing all the teaching, but you're actually teaching them how to teach. And there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of accountability and things you need to do to support them in that temporary role. So they also provide a small stipend for the teacher and their extra time and efforts doing that as well. So that's one of the big issues right now.
That's that'll keep you busy. Yeah. Is there as a yeah, what are there different local issues on teaching, or is that kind of pretty much handled by the state?
There are local issues. We have 500 school districts here in Pennsylvania. We have career and tech centers and intermediate units, and I can tell you we have 500 local issues going on. Um, some local issues, I'm going to be honest, some local unions are do a good job, and actually, a lot of our founders were fine with their local. It was a state national they didn't like. So a lot of things work very well on the local level, but we have some locals that aren't working very efficiently. The contracts aren't real great for a lot of the teachers, or even all of the teachers. Um, the there's they don't support the members on the local issues. There's a lot of community issues that impact how the local school districts are operating, as far as conflicts with the board and the union supporting or not supporting their members, and the different issues that go on local levels. Yeah, it can get pretty hairy. But the one thing that we found is, um, while a lot of our members come to us because they don't like the state and national unions because they are so political and a lot of the dues money goes to politics and candidates, we have some locals who are not doing the best job for their faculty and for their members. And we get a lot of members when that happens. And the nice thing about joining KEYTA is you're not going against any political or moral values that you have by becoming a member of us. So yeah, there's a lot of local issues that we have to tend to. There are 500 different teacher contracts out there, and we've read through a lot of them, because you'll find that school districts sometimes don't abide by the teacher's contract, and the union does nothing about it. It's an unfair labor practice when the district does not abide by the teacher contract. And when they go to the union and the union does nothing about it, their hands are tied. So we get involved in those situations and try to force the districts to adhering to the contract. And, that happens more times than you would think.
Well, I think I might think it happens more than it does happen. But that, I've heard a lot of stories really that is a problem. It's once they have a monopoly, which teacher union does have a monopoly control over your contract. Even if you're a KEYTA member, they control your contract in that school, and yeah, they want to take a case, not take a case, push an issue, not push an issue. It's really up to the union.
Right.
And of course, you can always vote them out if that were possible, but it's a very difficult thing to do because of the way it's spread out. So you have to really you, you to organize to unseat them would be a very difficult thing to do. So of course, the fortunate thing that all members of the NEA that are current members, if they want to resign, they can resign at any time, stop dues payments because of the Janice Wright's decision, which I mean the Janice versus ASPE decision, which really gave every government employee pretty much the right not to ever pay dues or fees unless they wanted to. So, and my understanding is that you've gotten the NEA at least to be cooperative as far as not being strict on forcing people just to resign in I guess at the beginning of the school year. They're willing to drop it at any time. It may take a stern letter or something, but they seem to be cooperative at least somewhat now at least finally.
Right.
Yeah, in the beginning, before Janice, teachers were somewhat locked in to pay fair share fees, but we were really appreciative of that, of the work that you all did and getting that to fruition. Since then, if a teacher wants to leave the union, we say at any time because of the Janice ruling, and unions are political, and it essentially says you don't have to fund an organization that you don't believe in. You can get out of the union at any time. We've had members who resigned from the union at all different times of the school year, regardless of any window or maintenance of membership contract that is, or clause that is in their contract. In the beginning, it did take a few letters from different legal entities saying, hey, look, you really can't keep them in if you don't want to. And now they let them go.
Now, do you have like a template letter now they can use if they want to get out?
We do. On our website, there's a union resignation letter. You can download it into Word and adjust it, plug in your personal information. It's very easy.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's I think that's the hardest part, figuring out how to get out once they're in it. So it sounds pretty simple now.
It's very easy.
So, I think if you're considering getting out in this, but you still want the insurance, the liability, and the ability to call somebody and talk to them about local issues, state issues, and KEYTA's the place you want to go. And Carol, it's just a dynamo, and she'll make sure things work for you. And Dennis Shambaugh is obviously somebody I've just recently met, but I can tell he's passionate about KEYTA. He's also cares about teaching. And these are the type of people you want on your side, and both of them are the type of people you want to contact. And you're very blessed to have that kind of situation there in both Pennsylvania and Delaware now.
Yeah, through our foundation, we have helped support teachers build libraries in their classroom, AV equipment in high schools for the student-run clubs, gifted programs for gifted students, even things like doodle pens, 3D pens, garden tubs. Students, elementary students can start a garden in their school, something that'll be there, for years to come. And it's just math tools, pretty much anything you can think of. These teachers, they're so creative and amazing in what they realize, things that will keep their students engaged and will help them learn. And we just love supporting them in that way. When, districts only have so much funds, teachers already spend enough in their classrooms. And it's a great pride that we have this program now. And we're able to go around because of our wonderful donations that we've received and support teachers in their classrooms in this way.
That's great. And Dennis, now that you've been from the outside, now you're on the inside, and now you're actually in control. What does the future hold for KEYTA, and what have you learned as far as you didn't know when you first got into KEYTA, and how you feel about it now? I just love to hear from you. Obviously, you liked it enough to get this involved, and that's impressive.
Yes, I would just want to go and send a lot of kudos to Carol. She's been a great executive director for many years, so the board is very appreciative of her. And we learned a lot about being a KEYTA member, the insides and outside of the insurance and legal liability. I've learned all of these kinds of things behind the scenes, and so I appreciate that. So I'll continue to learn, and hopefully KEYTA will continue to grow. And we're out there for the Pennsylvania and Delaware teachers, so just they can take advantage of us, at least check us out. See, that's a possibility. But I've learned a lot as in board president. So very grateful for that office.
Well, Denny, it's been great meeting you, and Carol, great to see you again. And as always, you bring a special light to the meeting, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to close here with I guess a little bit of I guess a promo that you have on your website or about KEYTA. And I do recommend, any teacher that's in Pennsylvania or Delaware who's not sure what they want to do as they're teaching, and they've got some issues, and they may not want to stay at the NEA. They don't want to be alone out there, or they just have questions. I would at least reach out to KEYTA, because they're more than one. They'll give you they give you the straight facts and say, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and we are here to help. And I think I certainly hope you got that impression from meeting them today. And thank you again, Carol and Denny, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to your KEYTA.
And thank you for everything that you've done in CEAFU and National Right to Work. We really appreciate all the hard work you all do in supporting teachers and public employees.
Yes, thank you very much, Tom.
Well, thank you. Our donors are very happy to be a part of organizations like yours, helping independent teacher groups understand, to let teachers know they're not alone, and they don't have to go to the NEA or the AFT to get some support, because they don't have to, swallow their own independence to get protection. And it's nice to know that you're out there helping them. Thank you.
Thank you.